I'm Cathal Summers.
And I'm Deirdre Glenn.
Your Teagasc Sustainability Advisors. And you're welcome to the Teagasc Environment Edge podcast, number 39, bringing you the latest information, science and opinion to improve farm sustainability.
Are you aware of the major changes in Ireland's Nitrates Action Programme coming into effect on the 1st of January 2023 in regards to soil sampling and the introduction of a fertiliser register for farmers?
Friend of the show and Teagasc Crop and Nutrient Management Specialist, Mark Plunkett, joins us to discuss just that and how to assess fertiliser quality.
Mark, you're very welcome to the show.
Thanks, Deirdre.
Mark, farmers all over the country are being urged by advisors to focus on nutrient management planning, optimisation of soil fertility. Can you shed some light on where we're at in terms of current nutrient status nationally?
Yes, Deirdre. A recent review of soil samples taken in Teagasc would show, I suppose, firstly, that soil sample numbers have increased by 13% overall, and with one of the largest increases coming on tillage farms compared to 2020. One thing that we note in terms of the soil fertility data is that there's an emerging trend where soil fertility has decreased somewhere between 3 and 6%. And what I mean there is that the number of soils with the optimum soil pH, P and K, has decreased on grassland farms over the last 2 years. And we note an emerging trend on tillage farms, which is quite a surprise because over the last 10 years, soil fertility has increased year on year, somewhere around 1 or 1.25% in terms of soils with optimum pK and lime.
Just one remark, we know that fertilizer is very expensive at the moment, and we know that soil samples are quite cheap. I know they're probably roughly 25-year samples, something like that, I think, are they? But yet farmers are making decisions based on putting fertilizer out without maybe even taking a soil sample. Do you think why are farmers still playing Russian roulette with their soil fertility?
It's a very good question, Cathal, and it's hard to exactly put your finger on it. But even from the current database, like something that's really emerging, or one of the reasons why fertility has slipped in the last year on Irish farms is very much revolving around soil pH, and we see a 10 to 13% across the tree farm enterprises in terms of optimizing soil pH. So, you know, it very much starts with getting the basics right. And again, lime, you know, it's probably, you know, one of the most important nutrients in terms of nutrient deficiency. And, you know, the database would indicate that there is still a lot of lime needed out there on Irish farms. In 2021, we hit record levels. We hit somewhere in the region of about 1.33 million tons of lime, which is a big increase on 2020. But as regards to why farmers, I suppose, possibly don't use soil test results, it may be down to, Cathal, that I suppose building soil fertility, I suppose it's a long-term plan, or it takes time, and it often, I suppose, maybe takes time to see the benefit in, you know, where you do improve soil fertility.
It's funny, talking to a good few farmers about lime in there in the last couple of years. I know you've been putting a big push, and Teagasc has as well on lime, and so is the Signpost programme. But still, I see a lot of farmers blanket spreading lime, not in line with soil test, and you'd have to wonder, are we getting it right, or should we be getting that message even louder again?
Yeah, I suppose lime is one nutrient that I generally wouldn't take a blanket application approach to it. I think it's very much, you know, farm specific, field specific, and the soil test result is worth its weight in gold, because it'll give you specific advice for the fields on your farm. And lime is something that you fix, you know, once every 4 or 5 years, and it's done. And I say ground limestone is the cheapest and most cost effective way to improving soil pH, but most definitely in terms of sustainability, improving nitrogen efficiency, improving water quality, getting the pH right. You know, it's a low cost technology. It doesn't cost a lot of money to do, and again, I suppose it's the basis to getting all the other nutrients right in terms of efficiency and reducing losses.
We're probably at the time of the year now for lime, are we? And potassium, is that the best time now we're looking at?
Yeah, now is the ideal time for liming. You know, over the coming weeks and months, again, you know, getting lime out. You know, we're coming to the end of the growing season. You know, growth is declining with day length as the days are getting shorter. But now is a great time to get lime out, Cathal, absolutely on farm, because you get the winter rains to wash it in to get it to work, and again you're priming your soils for the springtime. So every opportunity over the coming weeks and months should be taken to get lime out, and again, it's back to your fertiliser plan, looking at soil test results and putting a plan in place there as regards, it could mean ordering a lorry load or a number of lorry loads of lime at this point in time. I hear from the industry, the lime industry at present, that there's a big go on lime, that there's a lot of lime going out, which is super. You also referred to potassium as well, and again, yes, Cathal, it's a great time of the year to apply potash. And again, it can be applied in, if there's cattle slurry or farmyard manure still on farm there. Again, it would be good to look at the fields, or maybe where silage has been cut, or maybe bales taken off, and the P's and K's haven't been replenished. But now is a great time to apply that slurry, empty the tanks, and also from an efficiency point of view, now is the best time. There's recent work done from Deirdre and Cathal here that would show that you get better chemical fertilizer and use efficiency in the springtime from an autumn application of potassium.
I suppose phosphorus and pH are also strongly linked. I suppose in our role, it's in the best interest, for productivity and water quality point of view, and guidance is needed to ensure the phosphorus availability is evaluated correctly. So we do need the analysis quite urgently on farms, don't we?
Absolutely, Deirdre, and especially the way fertilizer prices have gone. Like phosphorus is probably the most expensive nutrient in an NPK blend or an NPK fertilizer. And I suppose there's a few things there, like, if you have applied lime in the last number of years, by correcting the pH, it will increase the availability of soil phosphorus. So there could be an opportunity there to maybe reduce or omit fertilizer in the coming season when fertilizer is so expensive. But lime is key to the availability of soil P, during the growing season.
Do you think Ireland will benefit from a focused soil health scheme as is in place in Northern Ireland? They currently have the soil nutrient health scheme. So it's basically farmers are paid to sample. It's about building farm resilience, optimizing crop nutrient applications, and they also will have access to on-farm carbon stocks. So this program is being done there on a zonal basis by AFBI, and it's all about nutrient management planning. How do you feel that would work here, Mark?
Yeah, look, I think it would. I think it'd be very welcomed and very, very beneficial. I suppose we possibly have elements of such a scheme here in Ireland, as we have the department soil sampling scheme that was in place last year and looks like it's going to be in place for the current year. Yes, I think absolutely, Deirdre, anything that we can do to improve soil fertility in terms of getting the basics right, and there's big benefits there, especially around nitrogen efficiency. Like, like even from liming alone, we can go from, work done in Johnstown here would show where you have suboptimal soil fertility, you have about 35% nitrogen efficiency, and by just getting the pH right alone, you can go to, something like 50-51% nitrogen efficiency, and then by improving the P's and K's, you can go up to 65% nitrogen efficiency in terms of grassland. So look, I think anything that would support more of a focus around soil health in terms of improving profitability and environmental sustainability through improving soil fertility would be very, very welcomed.
I think the big message for us, Deirdre, what we're putting out is to get away from that side of, doing soil samples just to tick a box for a scheme, is to actually get them out, exactly what you're saying, Mark, get them out and use them. They're going to benefit the farm, and they're going to reduce nutrient losses, which is, it's a win-win for everybody.
That's
yeah, well, I think in the current year, Cathal, with fertilizer being so expensive, like we possibly should be sampling more frequently or more often. I say if we spread lime, if we use organic manures, maybe if we didn't spread P's and K's in 2022, again, it's well worth going back now and sampling that ground again and to see where you are. Like, is your ground still at index 4 for potassium, or has it slipped? Or maybe have you chopped straw, or maybe you only put on a maintenance rate of potassium in the current year. So I think, now is the time. It's we've plenty of time. We've good capacity for testing soils in Teagasc, and now is a great time to contact your advisor and get a fresh set of samples taken. So you'll have, really, concrete, reliable information to be making, big decisions now when it comes to the fertilizers, especially with them being so expensive and projected to be so expensive in the coming year.
Some fields, I suppose, don't need a lot of investment, where other fields will need a lot of investment with peas and lime. So I think it's very important for farmers out there, to get that message. And the soil samples are very, very cheap if you look at it in the bigger picture.
Absolutely, Deirdre. Like, if you take the more intensively, say, managed parts of the farm, maybe the silage ground, maybe the intensely grazed parts of the farm, those are the parts of the farm where you may see changes, more rapidly in terms of, P and K levels changing.
Mark, we know fertilizer prices through the roof at the moment, and it's not going anywhere. I heard you mention a few things related that farmers should be looking out for as regards how to assess your fertilizer quality, and maybe setting up the spinner a bit better to get the best value out of that. Could you run through that quickly first?
Yeah, again, I suppose, look, using the fertilizer and making sure that it's delivered accurately. Again, it's down to the fertilizer spreader, and again, making sure that the fertilizer is set up correctly, that it's level, that it's set at the right height, and also fertilizer quality. So again, setting the fertilizer up to deliver the product, as evenly and as accurately and at the right rate, is very, very important. There is such characteristics in terms of the fertilizer itself, in terms of quality, like the granule size, the granule shape, the hardness, and the bulk density. So again, all those values can be fed into. There is phone apps for setting up and calibrating fertilizer spreaders in terms of selecting, the application rate and the correct veins, so to ensure that the product is delivered correctly. So again, Carl, absolutely, getting the fertilizer spreader set up correctly, very, very important to ensure that the fertilizer is used as efficiently as possible.
And it sounds a simple thing, doesn't it? Just setting your spinner up. But I often wonder how many people actually do it. Maybe, and there is resources. I think there's even videos online in Teagasc that show you how to do it. Is there a test kit you can get to look at the fertilizer granules? I hear some farmers I'd be chatting to, and they'd be fussy enough on which types of fertilizer brands they'd actually spread with.
Yeah, there is a little fertilizer test kit that you can get called. You get a sieve box that you can look at the size, like, we generally like to have the fertilizer between 2 to 4 mil, to get a good and even spread. Also things like hardness, I suppose, is mainly to do with the likes of urea and CAN. Also things like the bulk density, so urea, CAN will be heavier than urea. So again, in terms of setting up the fertilizer spreader, and I suppose then, visually you can look at the size and the shape of the actual granules themselves.
And Mark, can you tell us a little bit about the new nitrates rules coming into effect on the 1st of January 2023, especially in regards to soil sampling, and how will this affect or impact farmers?
Yes, Deirdre, there's many changes to the current nitrate action plan that were published recently. Again, there's changes in terms of closing dates for both the application of chemical and organic fertilizers. Also in terms of tillage, there's new rules or requirements there in terms of shallow cultivation. But I suppose one of the big changes that's timely at the minute is around soil sampling. And again, from the 1st of January 2023 onwards, you will require a soil test to apply phosphorus. And if we don't have a valid soil test that's taken fairly recently in the last 4 years, we'll have to assume index 4. So prior to this, we could assume index 3 and apply maintenance rates, but that has now changed in the most recent nitrates action program.
That could be a big shock to a good bunch of farmers. You're talking, what, 1.5 livestock units, is there something like that?
Yes,
all the way up to 170.
yeah.
If people aren't aware of that shortly, we could miss out on a whole year of phosphorus application. That could be a problem as regards fertility, especially if you're moderately stocked and you need to grow the grass, Mark, I presume.
Absolutely. As I say, that's probably one of the biggest changes in their call at this point in time. And again, there's ample time at the minute to have a look to see, how old are your soil samples, and if you need fresh soil samples, that you get them taken over the coming weeks and months.
I suppose it's also an opportunity for farmers to take on additional analysis. You maybe have trace and minor elements as well, if they have selenium problems, or if they have, say, copper or boron problems on farms.
That is true, Deirdre. Yeah, if you want to get, maybe the trace elements done, depending on whether it's grassland or tillage, again, now is a good time. If there is issues there, as you say, with the likes of, manganese, copper, zinc, boron, those micronutrients, now is a good time as well to get the analysis done.
And another change coming in, Mark, is, can you tell us a bit about this new fertiliser register? We've heard about it for the last year or so, but that's coming in the 1st of January as well, is it?
Yes, that's something that came in under the new rules and regulations as well, Cathal, that the Department of Agriculture will have a new register for fertilisers in place on the 1st of January, and it's very much to track the sales of fertilisers here in Ireland.
That's so, yeah, because I suppose up to now, I know from doing plans and stuff that people always wonder how much fertiliser can you spread, but the big thing from that, I suppose, to know how much to spread, if you have soil samples, you have to develop a plan for it, Mark, or else you won't know where you are, would you?
Correct. Yes, absolutely. You'll be working on, on recent or up-to-date soil analysis in preparing a farm fertiliser plan to figure out, what's your max allowance in terms of nitrogen and phosphorus. And again, that'll be a vital piece of information when it comes to figuring out what fertiliser you need for the coming year, or when it comes to doing your fertiliser shopping list, call for 2023.
Will it be linked to a herd number then?
I'd imagine so. Yes, it'll be linked to a herd number. Deirdre, absolutely.
For transparency, I suppose, going forward as well.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and sure, those nutrient management plans, Mark, if farmers are listening now, where would you go to get one of them done if you had your soil sample results? Or
well, again, you contact your local advisor, Cathal, to either get it updated for to update the records for the current year and prepare a new plan for 2023.
So for farmers that haven't done any soil testing up to now, can you talk us through how it's done? And I know now that you can get the analysis done through your advisor, either your Teagasc advisor or through your private advisor.
Yes, Deirdre. Again, it's best to contact your local advisor, whether it's Teagasc or a local private advisor, and see which parts of the farm need up-to-date soil analysis. So again, your advisor can draw up a farm soil sampling map, and they can organise a soil sampler to come out and take the soil samples. So the soil sampler will gather the information out in farm, take the soil samples correctly, package them, label them up, put in such information like field name, field details, cropping history, soil type, etc. And they will be processed and sent off to the laboratory for analysis. And we generally work on a 10-day turnaround, Deirdre, in terms of getting the results back into the hands of the farmer.
There's a lot of information required on those, isn't it? It's very detailed, the report that goes into to be analysed.
Yes, well, I suppose, look, they're in terms of cropping and soil type, in terms of getting back, good advice in terms of your lime, is it a grass crop or a cereal crop, or is it a beet crop? And then you can get guidance then in terms of NP and K.
Yeah, that's super. Mark, look, you're after really filling us in with it. Lots of stuff that's coming up there in the next, it's actually, the 1st of January is dangerously close now, so lots of things for people to think about. And I suppose the main point from you is getting in touch with your local advisor and to form a plan and get yourself in gear for 2023. So Mark, thanks a million for your time. Really appreciate it. Really enjoyed it, our chat.
That's no bother. Thanks, Cathal. Thanks, Deirdre.
Thanks, Mark. That's it for this episode of the Teagasc Environment Edge podcast. Thanks to Mark Plunkett, Teagasc Crop and Nutrient Management Specialist, for joining us on the show.
Don't forget to rate, review and subscribe to the podcast. You can listen on Apple and Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. And for more information, go to the Teagasc website at teagasc.ie. I'm Cathal Summers.
And I'm Deirdre Glenn.
Join us next time for the Teagasc Environment Edge podcast, signpost to farm sustainability.